Alright guys, welcome back. Real quick, I know one thing that I forgot to type to explain in the beginning. There's some console commands that you're going to want to know. Let's start off with that. And you'll need to type these in every time you restart your game. So if you hit the tab button, you bring up your console. You can type in r.bloom quality 0. And that's going to knock out a lot of the glare. Now you'll notice it's still kind of hazy around here. So if I enter the console again, hit r.light shafts 0, it kind of clears it up just a little bit. Now you might want those light rays and everything. I find it kind of distracting when I'm trying to record. So if you are recording YouTube videos or if you're streaming, those are some necessary commands for you to know. Let's also talk about one other command because it's going to be getting nighttime pretty soon, I believe. Yes, the sun is setting. So if we hit the enter again and we hit gamma, now we can enter a gamma value. If I hit gamma 0, things get dark. If I hit gamma 1, we get a little bit lighter. A little bit lighter and pretty bright. Now you can I honestly don't know how high up you can go. Oops. Okay, so what I want to talk about in this episode, actually let's step back 1 second. If there are any console or control commands that you would like to know as far as your gameplay, controlling your character and all that stuff, if you hit escape and go into the options menu, there's a list right here, and I do believe you can edit these. I try not to because I've kind of gotten used to where it is, but you've got all your movement commands, you've got all your whistle commands, they're all here ready for you to take a look at and use. So what I want to talk about mainly in this episode is how to be a hoarder. I have always found in survival games, one of the worst things people can do is throw things away. So early on in the game, you're going to get these small storage boxes, and with these small storage boxes, you get about 3 rows of things that you can carry. Now each item, if it stacks, it will stack up to its maximum stack size. Arrows and trank arrows will stack up to 50. Chitin will stack up to 100. Thatch will stack up to 100. Hide and fiber will stack up to 200. Metal and metal ingots, I believe, also stack up to 200. Meat will stack up to raw meat will stack up to 20, and cooked meat will stack up to 30. So those are some helpful things to keep in mind. That's one thing to keep in mind, is your inventory will become a mess very quickly. So get some boxes down. These are some boxes that I've had around from the beginning. Try to keep yourself organized, and by all means, you know, don't throw very much away if you can help it. As you get further along in the game, you're gonna find that you can create these large storage boxes, and they're much more useful. I believe my hide is just about full. Basically, what these do is you go from holding 3 rows to holding 6 rows. So you double your capacity right there. Now, you're going to run out of capacity in these. As you can see, I have 8 right here, then I have 4 more right here, and I've got 2 what are these called again? Bookshelves? Yeah, that you can hold. You can hold blueprints and notes and stuff in there, but you're gonna run out. So what I started doing early games, I started taming these carbonomyces, and what I started doing. Now this one is a little bit different because I'm preparing him for something completely different. But with these 2 guys, I've just been pumping weight so that they can hold more stuff, and then they just stay right here. Now, one of the reasons you want to do that, you want to do this with your perishable items, like your raw meat, your berries, your spoiled meat, even, because if you notice, this says it has this says it will spoil in 6 minutes. Well, 5 minutes and 57 seconds. Now, if I move it over here, it's going to spoil in 1 minute and 26 seconds. So you get about 4 times the length when you or the spoil time. Now, there are a lot of things. All these things have the spoil timer on them. A lot of things do. Any food item is going to have a spoil timer. When you pick up eggs, which you will pick them up every once in a while, you'll see an egg that a dinosaur has laid. Now, be careful picking them up because a lot of animals will get aggressive if you pick up their egg if it's not one of your tamed animals. As you can see, I've got quite a collection here of eggs now. Typically, when you pick up an egg, it's going to spoil. I want to say it's 8 days. But when you move it over into a preserving bin with some spark powder in it, you'll get a 10 times boost on it. So that this is your next step of keeping things from spoiling, is putting things in a preserving bin. Now, the next step up from this I haven't done yet. It is the refrigerator, but I'm not running electricity into my base yet. I don't even have my base built yet. But that's your end game right there. Now, something else that you're going to want to do, and let's see if any of these guys, yeah, okay, so, okay, let's look in Manny and see what he's got going on. Okay, so one thing you're going to want to do is, even though we have an extended timer on here, if you notice, these aren't full. And so basically what's happening is, because I could probably consolidate this stack right here into all of my stacks by just double clicking and filling up these guys, and then coming over here and doing the same thing. And so what I'm doing is I'm giving okay, so the way this works, right? Each stack has a spoil timer on it. So at the end of that timer, one berry in that stack will spoil. So when I consolidate this, I'm basically making sure that fewer berries will spoil at the same time. Now, you can also use this to your advantage, this mechanic, when you're trying to get a lot of spoiled meat. Because you'll need it for crafting narcotics. So one thing you can do, you notice I've got a ton of spoiled meat here. You want to keep these consolidated, but have your meat, your raw meat, split up into smaller stacks so that you get more stacks spoiling one rotten meat at a time. So that's one way to help increase that. Now, if you're trying to conserve your raw meat, you want to keep those stacks as full as possible and have as few stacks as possible spoiling at the same time. So there is that. So we've talked about that. Let's talk a little bit about gathering, right? Now, we talked a little bit about using the right tool. So I'm going to grab Manny real quick. Come on, Manny. Now, he's great at gathering wood. The problem is my hatchet is a lot quicker. Let me jump on him and I'll show you. If I get over here and hit this until it knocks down, I got 48 wood out of that. Right? So, and then a bunch of stuff that I don't need, I'm going to end up having to dump out. Oh, drink. Right? So now, let's see. From one tree here, let's see what we get. Got 26 from that one. It's kind of a smaller tree. There's that. And my inventory is full already. So what I can do is I can just come back here, access his inventory, dump my stuff into him, and then have him follow me around. I know some people are going to yell at me right here because I'm dumping narco berries. Guys, I have so many narcotics, it's ridiculous. So, there's that. Now, I will tell you, when it comes time to gather berries, There's only one way to do it as far as I'm concerned, and I'll show you what it is. Now, you won't have access to this early on, but about the time you get into where you can saddle a trike, you're going to want to tame one. Now, I would show you on the trike, but it's just so much better to show you on the Stegosaurus. Now, you've got two attacks here. You can swipe right and you can swipe left, and it's going to be depending on which way you're facing with the mouse. All right, and when you do, you saw how many berries I got from just one click, basically, right there. Now, the downside of this is you won't get any fiber at all. But like, okay, as you see from just that little bit there, I got a ton of berries and some seeds, and so you can see right now I've got just under 500 Majo berries there. Now I want to take you and show you how to do this for big berries. Okay, now if you notice, I'm in the woods here, but throughout the island, you're going to find these places that have this bamboo looking brush, right? So what you want to do is you want to get your trike or your Stegosaurus or your Brontosaurus in here and just give it a swipe in there. Look at all those berries right away. Almost no work at all. This is how I do my narco berry gathering right here. I'll get one of these guys and I will just come out here and clean out all this bamboo looking stuff until there isn't any more. Now remember, we had about 500 Majo berries and nothing else on us before we came up here and swiped. Check it out. Now if I organize this just a little bit, and I'll do that off camera. There we go. Sometime later you can see that I got, even from that, I got about 400 or 500 Majo berries, 365 narco berries, a bunch of azul berries, a bunch of amar berries, a bunch of tinto berries, a few stem berries, some thatch, some wood, and just a bunch of seeds. Now, personally, I'm to the point where I have a good bulk of all of this stuff, so I'm going to throw a lot of it away. But, you know, early game, you're going to need these berries to tame animals, especially the Majo berries and the narco berries. And once you start making narcotics, you know, having a Stegosaurus or a trike to come up here and just gather narco berries will make your game a lot easier. Mainly because crafting narcotics is one of the best ways to gain XP. I guess something else I should mention while I'm talking about inventories and keeping things going for a while. Ooh. Are you... I don't think it's bearing fruit yet. It's... Right? He's called a fruitling. Right. So I gotta wait. Once you start farming, something to note is that you have about a 16-day timer when you keep stuff in the inventory here. So I recommend, especially with these, you do, because I take one out and it immediately goes to a 4-minute timer, and that's not enough time to do anything with it. I'll talk about farming in another episode. Now you can kind of help yourself out by placing it in a bin here, but it doesn't help that much. Remember, you only get about a 10 times timer from this. So make sure you're paying attention to timers and where things last the longest. Obviously most things will last the longest in a refrigerator. I think I've covered just about everything I want to cover for this episode. I hope you have learned something here. Not a ton of information on this specific stuff. There wasn't a ton to talk about, but there is some very helpful tips, and I hope it helps you out in your game. So I will see you guys in the next episode.